Hello, everyone. My name is Jared Griffin here at the Center for Customer Insights and Digital Marketing to discuss and demonstrate how we get our workflow for emails out the door. I have it pegged for like 60 minutes. I think that's probably a bit too long, but we'll cover kind of say hello, expected learning outcomes. Then I will go over the email process for the center. So that is going to be when we're sending out kind of individual emails to various segments, kind of drafting that and getting that approval. I'm going to run you through that entire process for the center. And then after that, I'm going to demonstrate the automation, kind of how we collect our information from people we want to communicate with, all the way to how that gets added to our CRM, which is HubSpot. Then we'll have a little bit of Q&A if there are any questions, and then we can go end it from there. So after all of this, we should be able to, there we go, collaborate with your boss, kind of work with your boss to get approved and publish ready emails that are ready to send. We also want to be able to send those emails in the CRM, which is HubSpot, and also interpret those results and analytics that come from them. We're using HubSpot. All this effort to use HubSpot is because we get analytics from these emails that we send. We're just sending them from our Outlook. We're not really getting any kind of information back. So that's really why all of this is really worth it, to kind of analyze what people are doing. And then we will automatically trigger that kind of onboarding email from our contact form, which is done in Qualtrics. Okay, so how does our email process start off? Well, it starts off with an idea or a need. When you're emailing these people, we need to have a reason or purpose to email them. We can't just be, spreading, random emails all the time. We need them to be purposeful and have a meaning. So that idea can come from, either me or the boss. And then from that, we'll just kind of get an idea of who we want to send the email to, what we want it to achieve, and that's about it. So from there, with an idea of what email we want to create, we will move on to our proposal document. So we have a proposal document here at the center for proposing emails. So I can just take a quick look at that. But you would essentially copy one of these over into its corresponding folder. And you can kind of see here we have a lot of, input who we want to send it to, approval on content and recipients, and kind of the draft of the email here. So that is really what we do to kickstart our email process. So we fill out the title, content, who we're going to send it to, our segments, and then when we want to send it as well. And then from this, we can get a draft that is ready for approval. We do this step because it is incredibly important to get approval and kind of allow your boss to manipulate the content in an easy way. Everyone is quite familiar with Microsoft Word. So here, you can tag people, anybody can edit it. You can, reviewing mode. So that's why we have that step so that people don't need to necessarily get their hands dirty in HubSpot. We can do everything much easier in a Word editor. Get our approvals, and then move to HubSpot. So once we have our draft, we'll get some sort of approval. In our case, we tag our lead for this approval. If they don't approve, they'll give us some reason, we'll revise, and then request again for approval. And if they do send it, then we are good, and we can move on to the next step, which is building the email in HubSpot. So continuing, we're going to jump into HubSpot. So we can use existing email templates, or as Dr. Jung showed you, you can duplicate old previous emails and edit them, which is quite nice. That's a good way of doing it, especially if that email performed well, or you like that template, or what have you. And then from that, we can really make a email that is ready for sending. And then we'll want to Q&A that before we send it, and I'll show you this momentarily. So let's just jump over to HubSpot, and then we can kind of get going on that assignment, basically. My idea was to kind of just craft an email. So when you sign in, you should be given kind of access to hopefully the center's account. I'm not sure what it'll show up for you guys. Um, I'm curious to kind of see how permissions you got. But if you go over to the left, you can see under this kind of like megaphone, you can scroll down to email. And then there's what we were looking at before. Dr. Jung was showing. There's his Cordo for back to school one. So really similar process. So if we didn't want to clone this, we can create email. And then there's some options, regular, automated, and blog. I've not really messed with the blog. I don't think we're going to use it often, but the automated email we'll talk about later. So since we're just sending these kind of on a one-on-one, just one-off basis, we'll just go for regular. And then there are some templates. In this case, like I wanted to send a email about the MSDM, kind of our program. We can use this template. It has a lot of personalization, buttons, and signatures, and things like that. So you would copy and kind of recreate this Word document in HubSpot. And then from once you're happy with that, we can move on to who we need to send it to. We'll do this by moving on to the inbox tab instead of edit. So now that we've jumped into this inbox, we have our subject line. This works as it typically does for email. It is the subject line of the email that you're going to receive. You see, we can do some personalization and things like that if we wanted here as well. Next, we have some preview text. This is like that little blurb that pops up in your kind of tech email window. So we can customize that as well. We can also figure out who we want to send it from. We can send it from our brands or from our kind of personal self. And then also we can send it from any email address that you kind of link up with the system, as well as kind of some forwarding ones as well. So it makes it seem like you're really getting an email from us, not kind of HubSpot. So that's nice. After that, after looking at all like the inbox stuff, that will, how it looks in the inbox, we can figure out who we want to send it to. So we can click constituents for the subscription type, and then we can send this email, through an automation and API. No, we just want to send it to a segment of contacts. And then obviously we had picked these segments previously, or they had been approved in our kind of draft. So we don't have to think too hard here. We can just go ahead and go to send to, and you can see quite a lot of our contact segments pop up. So we had created these previously, and segmentation is personal to your kind of database. So we kind of use sources of who the people are as our segmentation. I could send it to these people, this group of people, and then opt to not send it to people that we don't want to contact, things like that. We would have already planned this all out in the document previously. And then from there, you can go ahead, schedule it. You can do some other setups, some automations, put them in campaigns. But other than that, you're basically ready to go. What you need to do to confirm is in this preview and test in this upper right-hand corner, you can preview as a contact, or my favorite, preview in an email client. So this is where HubSpot gets pretty cool. You can choose some preview types and it'll offer popular email clients, but they have tons, like so many old random devices, basically anything you can think of, like Lotus Notes. It's pretty cool. So you can choose all of those to preview, and then you could like select a contact if you wanted, but you go ahead and click preview. And what HubSpot will do is kind of essentially open all of these emails or this email in all of these different clients. So what we need to do here is go through and expand them. It's small. HubSpot has like a very small interface, which is weird, but yeah, you can go through, make sure everything looks pretty reasonable. We don't do anything too complex with like custom HTML or anything like that. So typically these all pan out pretty good, but pay attention specifically to mobile and kind of other Outlook type devices. Something nice in HubSpot, they'll actually let you look at the analytics and look at which client is often opening up your emails, so you can use that information to help in this preview stage. All right, but once we are happy with this preview and everything looks good, we can go ahead and send that. Send it all off if everything passes, which is great. But the job doesn't really stop there. We need to, get some analytics and learn from this experience. So we need to wait some time There is a interaction kind of window in HubSpot that it shows you, when people are interacting with the email. And typically within 24 hours for us, the dust has kind of settled, and we're really not going to get any more opens or anything like that. But you can learn that more from your own kind of personal database. Then we want to review a lot of this information, a lot of these performance indicators, but I have a whole slide for that, so I will skip that for now. And then we also need to manage our kind of bounce rates and unsubscribes and things like that. We want to make sure we are being polite to the people in our database and not like abusing any sort of system. If you keep, sending emails to hard bounces over and over, HubSpot is going to think you're kind of silly, and is going to give you issues, and your email performance is going to drop quite a lot. But thankfully, HubSpot knows that these issues might happen, so they handle quite all these bounces essentially for you. But we'll discuss that when we get to actual email performance. Yeah, and always make sure we're sending these to people that want to be emailed. HubSpot makes it super easy to unsubscribe and make sure that they don't get emailed again, so we don't know there's no complaints. But you certainly don't want to keep pounding people with emails when they're trying to unsubscribe. Legal issues at some point. Okay, so that is, how we get an email out the door for the center. Those are not very automated. There's the manual process of, getting feedback and tagging your supervisor, working on it, and then inputting it into HubSpot. But it is a good process, and it is well worth it. HubSpot is very nice and offers plenty of analytics to make it worth it. So we can now move on to our automation. So what is kind of the issue and reason for this? So previously, we would send these emails just to segments of our choosing for particular purposes, but nothing is automatic about it. And if people were to sign up for any of our interest list to join a mailing list, they wouldn't get an uh, email necessarily. So we need to allow this pipeline to happen. So how does it really work? Well, the person would submit a Qualtrics survey. In this case, we are going to be looking at the MSDM interest list. So this is a Qualtrics survey that was previously prepared. So the person submits this Qualtrics survey. Go. And then a HubSpot contact will appear in our database. And then from there, HubSpot will send a confirmation email to that HubSpot contact that was newly added. So this replaces a lot of manual work. So what kind of issues were there with the manual steps? There's some inherent delays. Nobody is sitting around a computer 24/7. So if they are monitoring that Qualtrics survey, even, once a week, there's a possible, 1 week delay from somebody signing up and getting their email. So that kind of really erodes trust in your brand. Also, errors, will corrupt your CRM when you are manually copying over all of these Qualtrics responses manually. You're going to, everyone's human, you're going to make a mistake, and that mistake might cost you a contact, something like that. So, a contact is costly. So if you're doing it manually, it's a pain to lose one like that. And then it also, with that scheduling, it's inconsistent follow-up. Again, if you don't get that immediate email or near immediate, you're going to be confused. And if you got it like a month later or something like that, you'll be very confused and think they don't have their stuff going together. So we can automate this process, so we don't need to do that. So how did we define success for that? Well, we want to upsert the contact by email. Upsert is kind of like insert, but it's a database kind of phrase for not just inserting a new one. So it's kind of deduplicating it or preventing duplication. We also want to kind of capture some consent by sending out that email saying, hey, thanks for your interest. You're going to get marketing material, blah, blah, blah. There's some consent there. And then that instant confirmation, again, feels very good to get that in your inbox, make sure something actually happened and it didn't error out and you actually are signed up for the list. Okay, How does this actually work in our kind of system? We start with Qualtrics. So we don't have a server or anything like that, and this is all kind of a no-code solution. This is all just kind of workflows that work between these major tools. And Qualtrics and HubSpot are, incredibly large major tools. So it's nice to have access to them. You have access to Qualtrics through Cal Poly Pomona, and then HubSpot, I think, through Dr. Jung. So that is nice. It's also like unlimited HubSpot almost. It's a ridiculous subscription. So they treat us well at the college, it seems. Um, but back to this. So Qualtrics. So when we collect our information, like their email, what program they're interested in, what they're hearing about us, this survey here, you can see, we collect all of that. They submit it. And then Qualtrics will kind of start computing. It will start a workflow and then send over contact data to our HubSpot database. So let me show you how that happened. So we can jump to the Qualtrics survey. Oh no, I'm going to get duoed. Oh, I knew it. All right. Oh, we're good. Okay. So now this is our interest form where people can sign up. This is just like the backend Qualtrics view. So we can jump to, we see our survey here. And second is our workflow tab. So we jump to workflows. And we're starting this up fresh. We can go to create a workflow. And you might be worried that you don't know how to build the workflow or something like that. But thankfully, they have already done it for you. So they have these nice templates. You can browse templates. And then it's going to offer quite a lot of these cool, workflows. You can do some goofy stuff, some highly complex stuff. Um, but in our case, it's actually only the third one. We can create a HubSpot contact when a customer completes a survey. That sounds exactly like what I want. So we could go ahead and click Get Started, but I'm just going to show my already existing workflow. So you would run through there. This does assume that you have your Qualtrics and HubSpot accounts kind of linked up, which was a bit of a pain, but it's not too difficult. They have some good documentation to walk you through that. But in this case, all of these accounts are beautifully connected. So we'll take a look at our automation. So you would create a new automation. It would pop you into something like this. It already figures out this logic for you. So all we have to look at is this kind of HubSpot chunk. So if we were to open that up, we can see a little bit of what is happening. So what happens when a contact, or when this gets triggered, what happens? So we can jump back over here. So that is our trigger. We've now triggered something. We know that it's going to, uh, you know, Qualtrics is going to trigger and send some information over to our HubSpot CRM. But we need to make sure that information is mapped properly. So, things like first name, last name, interest, what lists they kind of belong on. All of these things need to map to the correct fields in our database. Obviously you don't want to flip last names and first names and things of that nature. So that will depend a little bit on how your survey is set up, but you can see this map fields here. On the left-hand side, we have all of our CRM fields. So this is what is in HubSpot. So, first name, last names, origin file, that's our segmentation variable. That's how we kind of tell who goes where. So we're not collecting too much here, just email, last name, and an origin file. So that gets sent on over to HubSpot. Just this information here is sent over, just these four features. So again, that was triggered when somebody completed the survey, then mapped to various variables, and then it is plopped into our HubSpot CRM. So once we add somebody to our database, they automatically get sent a welcome email depending on which segment that they had belonged to. So if you remember when we were creating, had the option to create an email, one of the options was automation. So that would be an example of one of like that of an automation email that we would need to use. But I will show you that. So all of this starts, this kind of trigger starts once they've been added to our CRM database. We like this because even if you don't add, or even if they're added from somewhere else other than Qualtrics, they will still get a access or an automatic email knowing that they have been added. So that's pretty reasonable. And this is all done through the HubSpot workflow. So we can go ahead and jump to that. You can access this otherwise by going over to this kind of like connector on the left-hand side of HubSpot under automation and then workflows. HubSpot does rename things quite often. So like segments just change to lists or vice versa, I think, but they rename automations, and but it'll be there. Here we can see our kind of existing automation, or you could create a workflow, much like we did before, from scratch, template, or with AI. They are going all in on the AI. But in this case, I'm going to look at one that already exists for me. So what this does is really similar to our Qualtrics one, but when somebody is added to a group, or a record is created in that group, the group is everybody. But when somebody has a record created in that, and if they if they are part of that MSDM interest list, which we defined before in our workflow mapping, then they're going to be sent an email. So all of this chunk is saying is if somebody is added to the MSDM list, do something, and that something is down here. What we want to do is send them an email, and specifically that MSDM intro automation email. So you can edit these or click on this to take you to our automation email. So this is one of those emails that you can edit all the time because it is continually being sent out to our people who sign up to the list. And you can kind of see which workflow it's in, and now you can edit your email and everything is fairly automatic. So yeah, workflow, once it gets added and they match those conditions that we specified, let me actually show you that really quick. On this left-hand side, you can see where you can edit quite a lot of these conditions, add if statements or exclude people, or tons of kind of logical control over your data. So yeah, that workflow, will send out that email we previously created for new people saying, hi, thanks for signing up for the list. You're interested in this and this, and you're going to receive kind of marketing information from us. Okay, so that is how those two workflows work. It is, they're both similar. One is Qualtrics sending data over to our CRM, and then our CRM is the one who, when a new contact is added, it does a little bit of logic and sends them an email of our choosing automatically. So that's nice. We've now covered two ways to kind of get emails out the door. One is automatic to take, your it's less manual labor for you. And the other one was just kind of how we do it for ad hoc type analysis or ad hoc kind of emails. But we can talk about email analytics next. So there's certain things we need to be watching in HubSpot. We're all doing this because HubSpot has powerful analytics, so we should probably keep an eye on them. So I'm going to try this. Hopefully it doesn't get too small. But I think, well, you guys all, it seems, have access at some way to the HubSpot account. So you should be able to look at all of this as well. So you can look at a different email if you want. We can just look at a random email, like this reminder for the info session. We sent it to we sent it to a good amount of people, so they should have some information here. So we see our email. It's kind of who we sent it to, who we didn't send it to, when we sent it. how many people we sent it to, kind of open rates, click rates, reply, if anybody replied, how many people it was delivered to, kind of where people are clicking, the people who are engaged most, and time spent. So this is where you can kind of see, 24 hours, everyone's pretty done with the email. Uh, for the most part, especially in the month, nobody's kind of touching anything at the end. Uh, and again, here by client, like I mentioned before. So what is important out of these? What is the most important ones? Deliverability is certainly up there. So that's our kind of up here. We sent it to 484 people, and it was delivered to 482. So that's pretty reasonable. If you scroll down here, you can see why. Looks like we got 2 bounces. So you can click in on that, and you can see two soft bounces. So that's just good to know. Nothing crazy critical here. They're not like hard bouncing bad email addresses. But HubSpot will, I think, try them a few more times. But if they keep getting bounced, they'll be added to kind of a do not contact. So that is delivery rate. You want to make sure emails are getting to who you send them to. If it's like 50%, then half of your email is lost in, email junk zone or spam filters or what have you. And we don't want that because that's really strong signals that you're kind of not doing very good. Then we want to look at our bounce rate as we just did, kind of those hard versus soft bounces and adjust them properly. And if we were marked as spam, they do mark us as spam down here if we have any issue with that. So in this case, we do not, and I don't think we ever have. So that is nice. Certainly don't want to get these kind of negative signals against you on your HubSpot account. And in terms of engagement, the primary KPI nowadays, it seems, is just how many people are clicking the what you want them to out of how many people that were delivered the message. Apparently, kind of all of these open rates are highly not manipulated, but highly changed by like if you're opening it on your phone. I guess Apple has a lot of protections, so they're like previewed before. You can kind of see it says including bots, this open rate would be higher. So they're really just guessing here. And we had a guest speaker who said it was that his main metric that he looks at is just who is clicking on the thing that we want them to click on. So that is going to be our click rate, which is just people who clicked a link on our email out of how many people were delivered our email. And then yeah, the open anything with an open rate is kind of a bit more diagnostic nowadays. And then we don't have anybody who typically replies to us, but if we did, we would want to watch that and make sure they're being addressed. And then if we have any outcome, we don't actually, so this form, uh, the MSDM like info sessions, we don't kind of get, we can't close the loop as they're managed by a different, like they're managed by the graduate school. So we can't really completely close the loop here and see that, they registered through our emails or anything like that. So conversion rates are less helpful here. And then we don't do any attribution. There's no revenue. Uh, Moving on to our list health, these are things that we don't want to make sure we're not upsetting our subscribers or people who once subscribed to us. So we can take a look at that. Unsubscribe rate is a good one to do. This was kind of an earlier email, I think, and it was also a reminder email. So 17 seems like a decent amount. But I think maybe they just got a little bit annoyed, or it's just something to watch. If you get mass amounts of unsubscribers when you send out a certain amount of email, obviously don't send out that type of email. Things like that. And then, list growth is also something to watch out for because every time you send out an email, you really, there's always a chance to, lose people, either unengaged contacts or unsubscribers. or thankfully no spams, but you lose a small portion of the audience that you send it out to. So we need to make sure you're always sustaining growth, kind of getting new people in, or at least not having people leave your list. Uh, yeah, and then here's my kind of thing about issues with those open rates right now. They're just kind of the technology is kind of changing, so they're not the most reliable, it seems. Okay, so those are pretty much the main ones to keep an eye out for. You can, triage any issues or tons of people leaving, um, but it's a good way to get an idea of your emails and the direction they're heading. All right, that is all for me.